There's been, I think, a few really interesting plays that have happened that I've been lucky to be part of. Visa acquired a company called CyberSource back in about 2010, and that was a real shift that caused sort of a new wave in the industry. It was a shift from sort of the large traditional players like Visa taking a look at smaller, more nimbler financial technology players that were moving into the e-commerce space and becoming more and more interesting for merchants and acquiring banks and others in the ecosystem. And then following that particular acquisition, I think a lot of innovators and investors realized the opportunity in the payments and financial technology space. And we've seen a wave of startups over the last 10 plus years move into this space. We've seen many acquisitions and tremendous amount of consolidation and innovation too.
Because you're right about the fintech from the venture capital standpoint. It's a very hot market where capital's flowing in. Is that primarily just the United States, or are you seeing fintech evolve in other parts of the world?
Yeah, it's happening everywhere. It's happening in all markets everywhere in the world. I'd say just recently there's a lot of news about Ant Financial, which is the financial spinoff from Alibaba in China, preparing for their IPO, right? And they've become such a dominant first payments player and then banking player and now financial services player in the China region, but now in Asia Pacific, and they're expanding around the world. So that's one example. Another great example is a firm based in Argentina called Mercado Libre, which they started. They're traditionally a retailer, an online retailer, a merchant. But they've expanded into developing the payments platform as well. Now they're one of the dominant payments platforms in the Latin America space.
And staying on the Asia Pacific and the Ant theme here for a minute, what do you think drove the rapid growth of the QR code payment that we're really seeing dominate over in Africa and in Asia, and not really so much here in the United States? What drove that over there?
Yeah, it's interesting. We did see QR really sort of launch in the Asia marketplace, and now with the pandemic, we're seeing it show up in other areas of the world, including the U.S. But specifically, the unique proposition that first the Chinese players brought to market, the likes of Alipay and WeChat Pay, was that they developed what we call a super app ecosystem. So they developed a single application available for mobile phones that actually had many, many sort of sub apps in them. So not only were they offering a retail platform, but they were offering a car service platform and a movie ticket ordering platform and food delivery, all within the same app. So that's why we call it a super app. It's one app containing smaller apps. Well, as that went, there was an opportunity to kind of glue those mini apps together through a payments ecosystem. And so each of those players design their own payment platform, and they use QR as a simple and very relatively cost-effective means to exchange the payment information between those mini apps on their super app platform. And that's how QR as a payment platform came to life, and that's how it's blossomed. Now it's interesting, I think it's about 14% of all commerce done around the world is using QR payments, but 90% of that is in China. So still, the QR as a payment platform is still predominantly a Chinese and a Southeast Asia concept, but rapidly starting to extend around the world, as I mentioned.